Setting up.
Oh shit, live on Facebook. Look at that.
We doing the thing.
I wouldn't know. It just says live on the right side, so I assumed it's what it's doing.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful, it's the first ever episode of Pain to Purpose podcast with me, Vanessa Simpson. Whoa! Let's not have that.
Is there a delayed effect?
I'm like sharing it and then it's playing videos. Leave! Okay, oh my goodness. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of Fifth Dimension Humanity, we are experiencing technical difficulties right now, but we will come back to you as soon as possible. Hello, Kitty. Hi, everyone.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Vanessa Simpson and this is Robert Florence. I love Robert so much. He is extremely special with his uniqueness, and we met in Fifth Dimension Humanity over a year ago now, and we worked together in my 3-month program. And I've just been watching him blossom as he's been watching me blossom. We've been serving each other. It's been great. And so today, Robert's going to be sharing his story, pretty much his pain to purpose story, and just some trials and errors and blessings and lessons that he's gone through on his journey to becoming this person that he is today. So, Robert.
What's up, girl?
So please tell us more about you and your journey and what started all of this.
Well, first of all, I was conceived in California, then popped out in Ohio. Yay, my existence prematurely done, but here I am. So, let's see where it all first began. I want to say when I was a child, I had an obsession with ghosts and spirits and the paranormal. So, you always see stuff out the side of your eye. Now, they tell you it's real or not real. I wouldn't know what is really real because everybody's perceiving reality different anyway. So it started there. Then typical school child, shy, but for things I was into and possibly looking different, I can't exactly quote that, at least for one of the schools I went to. You get ousted. So sad, I suppose, at least at the time. Can't see further than what's in front of you. So I want to say it started there because I wasn't familiar with bullying. I didn't understand the whole, being treated differently and being treated as an outsider, but it gives you this sense of void. But a sense of loneliness existed in there because I'm thinking when my younger sibling passed away, we were always tag teaming together. And I know that information might be a bit extreme to share online, but it's just going to come out that way. So as a child, I would assume having someone with you at all times, getting into a bunch of shit, and then all of a sudden, poof, gone, and you don't understand how your parents are registering it, but you're just being you still. So there's that. And then fast forward a little bit from the future because, still stayed the strange, shy kid, just being hyperactive and just doing whatever his imagination wanted to, essentially. I want to say I'm speeding up all the way to the 6th grade. I'm going from 3 to 5 to up to 6th grade because that was where I learned about meditation. Oddly enough, from a nightly Catholic school I had to go to once a week. Woo. Of the science teacher of that school, too, of all things, teaching us that. It's strange. I don't even know how that conversation came about. But I learned it from there. So, being the inquisitive person I am, that's another form of a rabbit hole. Let's look up meditation. So then you get there, then you hear about telekinesis, and then pyrokinesis, then telepathy, all that stuff that they say is real, not real. I guess it really just depends who you are. Me, I'm just open to whatever. If it happens in front of me, hey, cool. Have I seen it personally done? No, but I'm open to it. Damn right. Might as well be. The world's full of a lot of questions more than answers. But the questions we look for, when we have a question at least, and it's just stuck in our head and then we let it go, I notice the environment tends to spark up a little hint, or a person comes across me and then says something like, well, time to connect the dots.
Yes.
And form the pattern. Oh, look, a cat. Hello, Cleopatra. Your empress, queen, or however I should present myself to you.
Oh, she says, hello, master.
Hello. Yes. There's this whole master talk. I don't know what anyone's speaking of. Heard it from Vanessa here. Heard it from Candace. It's lovely. And I heard it from Martin, too. Oh, making my heart bleed tears.
Three times, master number right there.
3 times, and I've seen 333 quite a few times today. But I'm getting off on a tangent when it comes to signs. I notice when I change how I feel within, and then what I study is going to show up in environment, because that's what I'm going to notice. Think of it like an advertisement that just keeps being thrown in your face. A commercial, it's got all the music and the mood, the camera work to get your senses all involved in it. So it's like what I do with my studies. I get all my feeling within it, like I've mastered said topic, and just feel the living in the end thing, which people would learn that better from Candace or someone. I'm not used to teaching that, but it's about feeling the accomplishment and just that fulfillment of that state. And then usually that's when the world will start looking different to you. Because let's face it, when you learn something different, you're not going to look at the world the same way ever.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know how anyone looks at the world the same way each day. That's just me. I don't know where I ended up at on my topic. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm giving life stories here, aren't I?
Life stories, bring it. Yes.
Oh, so, all right, we're going to do another jump in the timeline when I was a teenager, because I was such an edgy teenager, filled with so many hormones and anger and other things. In fact, I became initially what I hated. Like we all do. We don't even realize it. So for the bullying that happened to me, and racism and all that, and just all that anger bottled up, just basically a boiling pot of oil. I'm not even going to say water, because oil, it stained pretty well. So you hold on to that, and then it just starts twisting you, because now you're just reacting out of anger, any trigger, and then, it's fight or flight response. So, that always leads to some interesting results. Plus, you're looking for the hate all the time. So people being nice to you could have been genuinely nice, but now you're fucking paranoid. So have fun with that. So at the time, I'm taking it and then giving it. So people back then that I may have possibly became friends with, I totally tarnished that. I burned that to the ground. There's no phoenix to rise in ashes. I smothered that thing in the ashes with love and care. But it was about the time when my girlfriend at the time, I don't like saying ex. It's just weird to me. Maybe it's just because I'm goofy like that. But she still set up a good example for me, because that's how I learned about tarot cards. More of the spiritual niche, because she was more open to that too. And that's when I learned about that channeling. I think the book was Opening the Channel or whatever. That pink Pepto-Bismol pink book. It's like, I don't remember. I think one of the last names was like DeBen or something. I don't remember author names. But she highlighted certain exercises in there. Of course, me being the edgy, impatient, hormonal teenager I am, not doing proper grounding or none of that. So, you know, you get stuff that comes in that's going to feed off that. Or maybe what I felt within, since it's pushing out, it's just going to affect everything. So, I recall one day my mother coming downstairs in the basement and saying I better not be inviting spirits in this household. I was like, I didn't have anything out for that to warrant that response. But yeah, well, totally was. But, it's cleansed now, the basement at least. But things got really twisted to that point because, I'm trying to open the things up it that way, but forcing it with so much anger and stress. So it affected my dreams. My dreams became polluted to where you'd have sleep paralysis. And I remember when I first went through that, I thought I was being possessed because, your body's locked up, you're consciously aware, and you're hearing the vibrations just going in your ears. Then high-pitched talking, depending on the event going on. Mm-hmm. Even one point I woke up still locked in paralysis and then freaked me out, and then I immediately fell right back in a dream right where I was at, which was, facing a wonderful red-haired being type thing. Must have been a ginger. You know how that goes. Nothing. I love gingers. I don't mean that. But it was red-haired, so there's that. That freaked me out. And then another moment was it was a classic dream where things have moonlight tone to it, the dark shadows and the pale moonlight. So it was a hallway stretching, and I seen an ink-like figure at the very end of it. And then it just did that classic cliched horror slide up to me. And then right when I woke up, I felt the pain shoot through my chest. You'd think that I'd want to freak out at that point, but I got used to it, and then I was just more bitter because it was a Friday, and I wanted to enjoy the weekend because, I'm a high schooler. So, yay, thanks to whatever being you were that struck me. But it was things like that. And then they said, someone told me this was Kundalini awakening within me. I think this is going back when I was 12 because I thought it was puberty. This is how my mind works. I was like, it must just be puberty. But my body would get these jolts of energy. It felt like electrical shocks going up my spine. Like I would tense up like that. Sometimes I'd end up verbally just yelling whatever because it would just be an intense shock out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, I didn't ask anybody about it. I just figured in my brain, I was like, it's part of puberty. It's cool. Especially yelling out in the middle of the library and then the librarian looking at me like I need to watch my voice level. But hey, I dealt with that for, I want to say about a year or two. And I don't know. I don't know what to tie that to. Maybe that I can tie that into why I'm sensitive to other people at times. Like if you're unsure about being an empath or whatever, just think of someone incredibly negative that and they walk in a room and then you just feel the sync. Now, I mean, you can go past what they're vibing off, but you'll get the initial sync feeling. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just rambling. Is this how this works?
You're doing great.
Okay.
So what would you say to someone that has been different most of their life and they're struggling with this whole concept of like being accepted or not really having a lot of people around to accept them?
Well, let's see. Don't force yourself to fit in. I know you want to. I did it. It fucking sucks. Like, I know how to fit in with groups of people now, but still be myself. Like, I'll expose certain layers and aspects to myself, but I'm not going to come crashing in and like, hey guys, do you want your taste of spirituality today? How we're all one consciousness? Yeah, let's not go that layer completely. You got to like, it's best to feel those conversations out. However, from my experience and my experience only, remember my experience is just my story. You have to go within yourself to figure this out. Do what's called to you. When you really give feeling, acceptance, like feeling and acceptance and allowing yourself to, be vulnerable with you and work on that energy and letting it out. Because emotions, all that gets built up. It's got to come out. It's going to come out one way or the other. So you might as well embrace it, kind of like being in a train ride, except that train's probably going to go off the tracks. But hey, let it just go by and just be that observant. And if it helps, what I do is I put my hand over my heart, give myself a connection there. And then once I get to a more grounded state, because I learned this from Candace, from, you say, isn't it wonderful? Or some variant of it, like I say, well, isn't this fucking amazing? That's just the way I talk. Whatever gets you in that more heightened state of everything's fine. So then you can start shifting your views and beliefs around. I mean, it's going to take some time. It's like forming a habit. Well, the habit takes 20, 30 days. I believe you can form a habit faster if the intentions are there. But all you are is working out another muscle, just your mind and your views. That's it. If you don't want to look at it in an esoteric manner, it's working on your subconscious, because through repetitive patterns, learning, and you put emotions to it, that's how things stick. We are programmed creatures of habits. And you can look at your patterns if you want to. It's entirely up to you, which can come through automatic writing, which here's how I look at the difference between stream of conscious and automatic. Automatic, I have nothing in mind. I sit down, I just write whatever just starts vomiting out of the pen. Stream of conscious, I look at it as more of intent. So I pick a topic, like let's say some abstract like love or whatever, then I just start, because that would be what I would channel into. And of course, when you think of love, just images might pass by, someone kissing one's hand and on their knee, getting married, blah, 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 or the love of yourself wanting to grow. It's just that. It's just thoughts and images that come into your brain. And then you just want to write that down. So stream of conscious is what I look at as just writing with intent. It's just another meditative practice, just like automatic writing is. I find automatic useful when you write until you feel finished, and then you go back and look, because you will notice a reoccurring pattern normally of what you're dealing with and what your views are. At least for me. Yes.
Yes.
And I was supposed to say what I was going to say to the people that felt out there, so I got on another tangent. But
here we are.
Here we are. So go back within and really start learning to love yourself for who you are. Because when you block that, it is going to build, and it's going to feel like a knot in your fucking chest. It did for me. And that every pulse of my heartbeat at the time, once I fell off and up, it started hurting. Just to exist hurt, to breathe hurt. It was an ache that you understand if you've been through depression. There's just that pain inside. So yes, you want to embrace that, and you got to think of it this way. We are byproducts of the influences and inspirations that make us. That's how I look at it. Everything that inspires me and speaks to my heart, I will take from that. And I will take from that and then apply my own twist to it. That's all you do. That's what artists do. That's what authors do. You get influenced by, the influencers, inspiration. Then you, by domino effect, you will be the inspiration to someone else. And in fact, they might inspire you too to get to another level. And from the circle of comfort, as we all like to refer as, because the circle of comfort can be death at times, because I like to look at it like a noose, depending. Here is your wonderful cotton threaded noose, so soft. But, and there's nothing wrong with stepping back in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But you don't want to stay in it because it comes suffocating. So maybe one little change that day, even if it's just a thought or a feeling. Let yourself play with that idea. Don't stop yourself. Unless you're planning to, of course, cause destruction, then I don't recommend that, but you get the idea.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really resonate with that. And I know I I used to be the type of person where people that were steps ahead of me, it used to intimidate me. And again, that's like a instead of inspiring me. And so something that really helped me was realizing that the only reason that it's in your reality, and if you are, if this is something that you want to do in any way, even if it's just how someone is showing up, how they're speaking, how they're singing, their art, whatever it is, that it's in your reality, and then you're having this perspective. It's because that's possible for you. You are in a vibrational equivalency enough to bring it into reality with that perspective, and being that, having that awareness and that consciousness. And so that's such a beautiful way to really crush any like intimidation, like, oh, like I wish I could be that good, or oh, I wish I could do this, or I could do that, or I wish I was different in that way, I wonder what's unique about me. But these inspirations that we can have, and then in what way, it's always about the questions that we can ask ourselves, like, well, this really inspires me. I wonder what is unique within me that I can bring to the table in this way for this specific purpose, whatever it is. But I found that to be really, really beneficial when it comes to inspiration, and changing that perspective. If there's any intimidation, like intimidation to inspiration, how to do that, and realizing a perspective shift of realizing that the only reason that it's in your reality is because it's possible for you if you choose and you want to take the action and make that possible.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderfully said. Yeah. Just you're gonna go through this period depending who you are, and I went through this period. It drives me nuts to see every now and then, but I don't really connect with those reflections, as I call them, because I look at what people do as a reflection of my beliefs at the time. But all right, we're gonna get on the little virus topic right now, because that's what's happening right now.
Yes.
First of all, I get it. People are dying and all that. There's panic being induced. I'm not going to delve into conspiracies because I don't fuck around in that territory, because that's just not my thing. If that's what works for you and you see those patterns, great. Share it if that's what clicks with you. But what else are you offering? Because peddling fear and being forceful on others and saying how they're not awake enough or whatever, fucking nauseating to me personally. And I was one of those people too. Like, well, why aren't there enough woke people in the world? Man, you sound like a fucking jackass doing that. And I will say that happily, because that's also me talking to myself at the time. Because what good is that to have such an imperialistic attitude that you're not willing to communicate to someone on their level? And by on their level, I look at everyone as being on the same level. It's just we communicate differently. Certain words that resonate with me may not resonate to someone else. If someone watches a movie, for instance, someone's going to pull out different meanings of it versus me. You hear it all the time when writers write a poem or a story, then ta-da, guess what, in English class? Well, what does this line mean to you? And maybe this was the author's intent or whatever. And then, well, I hope they say maybe. But it's just like that. That's the spiritual ego, that it's a trap. I understand. It's like, I'm going to compare it to this right now. When someone finds religion, say they've been drug binging all their time, because I've seen it, and they find their version of God, basically. All of a sudden, it's great. They cleaned themselves up. They got into the image they felt was proper for it, which again is, if you can imagine it and put intent and you're living in the end, you can become it. So that's what they did. Their idealized version of what it means to be clean and just that progress they made. Now, the tricky part is do you become so serious about your beliefs you refuse to learn anything else at the time? Because you've just ascended to another point in your life and it felt so amazing to be there, you're obviously going to be a bit more sensitive about the topic, which is understandable because that was a huge change. So when someone calls you out on it, I know it can sting. I know it can cause blocks, and you get all defensive, like, "Oh no, that's spirit speaking through me." Is it really though?
Mm-hmm. And then I mean, this is powerful because the energy of the heart is compassion, right? And compassion, understanding, and respect. So with that being said, you know, everyone's in their own process. And so we have to have, we don't have to have, there is an option to have compassion, compassion for that, and compassion for people's process, that wherever they are in that spectrum. That's really important, you know. And so if you're on a conscious path and you're able to have these broader perspectives, great, you know, share them, maybe help these people that can't get out of the fear. I feel like that's super, super powerful, that it's an opportunity right now that if you are able to see what we're going through from a higher perspective, you can bring an awakening with your message and the way that you express it to people that might not be able to quite understand it the way that you do. So I love that you brought that up.
Of course. And do I personally fear the virus? No, I don't. But I know there's people around me that do, and I'm not going to push on that and make them feel uncomfortable. That's a really jackass move on my part. That's a backwards move, and you call yourself a healer. That's just anybody. I mean, I could be talking to myself. See, now anybody gets bothered by that, I'm also being a hypocrite because I'm throwing judgment down on it right now, just like you are. Isn't it funny how the funhouse mirror plays into effect? I have no problem insulting myself. Do you? Don't take life so seriously.
Well, hey, yeah, and you know what? A great way to have compassion is like thinking back on a time, you know, on the topic of people that aren't as awake. Can you think back to a time where you weren't? It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, exactly. You know, we both can. I'm sure our, like, the people viewing this can as well. And so if you can put yourself in those shoes in some type of way, then you can find compassion for it, because you used to have your eyes closed in that way too.
Exactly. And then you if you go back before that, what you know now, spiritual wise or anything, just anything in general, shift it back. Can you talk to your child version of you in that manner? Are they going to understand you? Probably not. That's how I look back at it. I'm not referring to the other people as children either, but it's just what I keep in mind. If things I know now, if I can't convey it properly to my 5-year-old self in my head that I kind of vaguely remember, it's probably not going to make much sense to somebody else. Yes, I get all types of varieties of people out there from, you know, people like, who was that, Eckhart Tolle or whatever? I don't.
Eckhart Tolle.
Yes, I don't. That doesn't resonate with me. That's nothing against anybody. I follow Neville Goddard's teachings along other things, which I could probably lead back up to that point of how it happened. But this is me. Just random things come and I just start speaking it. But it's things like that. You can follow all the spiritual teachers that you want that click with you, but you have to take the time to go within yourself and craft it to what fits for you. Or else you're living someone else's lifestyle at that point, and then you might have that rude awakening, like, why isn't this working anymore? Well, time to go within, homie. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you know, that's super funny, because I actually just made a video today about what keeps people away from stepping into their purpose and their mission on Earth. From a soul perspective, is living someone else's life, following those footsteps of someone else's life, whether it be just a family member or a friend or someone that they had close to them growing up. And that's what, okay, this person's successful or whatever it is, so I'm going to follow this path. It seems safe, it seems comfortable, and that pulls us out of our authenticity and our uniqueness. Me and Anthony actually had a really awesome conversation about this, how there's only very specific teachers that I follow, that I feel guided to follow. And there's only very few, with that being said, on YouTube that I'll actually listen to, because I want to make sure that my teachings, which pulling from the collective anyway, but then it's coming in within your uniqueness, and so therefore there's an originality to it, from my perspectives, and I want to make sure that I have that original Vanessa flow in there of what I teach. And same thing with you, Robert. You're extremely good at pulling in different analogies, especially to get people to understand certain concepts. And I feel like that's something really awesome about you, and the way that you help people evolve and help them heal.
Oh, my heart space. Oh, how it resonated with such lovely vibrations. So really, we're just human vibrators. Damn. Anyway, let's see. Oh, another thing is too, when you want to convey your spirituality to someone, look for ways to ground it to where someone else will understand it. That's why I bring up advertisements on TV. That's a really easy one right there. You put your thought feeling, you put your intended thought into something, and you're feeling into it, and then it's going to eventually work its way into your subconscious because it's feeling. You learn how to trigger that, then you should be good to go. Just takes some time. Yeah, feel it.
Yes, that's beautiful. And something that going off of Kitty.
Oh yeah, she wants that love right now.
Yes. So yes, going off of the topic of being grounded, and when conveying certain existential ideas to whoever, tapping into that feeling, and you can develop your intuition enough where you can sense where, even if it's just certain questions that you pop out there, and you can work your way around to get the same message, energetic imprint, if you will, even if it's just planting seeds. And that's a thing too, like that. Not everyone needs the whole story, but even just planting little seeds, even if it's just like a namaste or a love and light or whatever works for you, from a ending of conversation, like, oh, that's interesting. I'll do that with my emails to like, just to people that I'm involved with business wise on helping orchestrate. It's like, it's just something a little interesting to be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, because everyone, oh, thanks, then name, or like, so you can put your little signature just like on an email. You don't need to go into the whole big concept unless you're with people that you really feel you can jive with and express that to.
Of course. And when you stay you'll find, if you stay you, but stay in a state of being open and allowing and being, that word vulnerable, don't want to be guarded, you're going to cut off possible connections because you have those preconceived notions from past experiences. But past experiences are a learning method that you can get above. You don't want to be repeating the same feelings you were back then, because that's what I did. And closing myself off for a while definitely killed life for me for a while, made things mundane and bleak at the time, because I'm holding on into things and I'm not letting things come into me. Hold on to bullshit. Anything that's coming my way, you're just clogged. You're nothing else to really convey it as, but just clog builds up and then it pours out. However, I became a manic depressed alcoholic. Which was funny when I was talking to you about, because even at the time I fell into the other trap of, I don't want to call it a trap exactly, but the whole spiritual push of like, do yoga, eat healthy and that. But I was also a raging alcoholic and a manic depressed. So those exercises didn't help me, which was funny to do yoga on whiskey by. I don't recommend it, but it was an interesting method at the time. But I can telling my past story that I do remember, because some things are hazy from things I've done, and it's not because I have it blocked anymore. When I look back at that past me, it almost feels like someone entirely different with how many changes I've made now. And that's never a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But as long as you still understand past you and why you made the decisions that you made at the time versus maybe nature they say nature and environment. I think both play into it, but you can override all that. It just takes time and some self-exploration and being gentle with yourself. Do not force so much change on yourself all at once. I did that shit, and it just causes you to break down and then quickly crawl back to where you were at. It's little steps, even if it's just a different thought of that day or something to be more appreciative of. That's all. That's one little change right there you need. Little baby steps, even if you got to move like a damn slug on the ground. Progress is progress. Maybe you make one step today and you move half a step back. Hey, you still made it. That's it.
That's beautiful. That 1% a day, even if that's taking care of yourself and taking a break and not doing anything, because we all need that resting time. And right now, a lot of people have a lot of resting time on their hands.
And that's going to lead right back to the virus we were talking about. Because see how it's going to roll back? All right, this is how my brain works. I go back to the conversation eventually. And here's a pattern that, here's how I can put a proof of pattern right now on something. Okay, I had this lovely lady connect to another lovely lady that both resonated with me. Her name's Candace Thought. So I had my sessions with Vanessa last year, which were my first spiritual mentor that I actually bothered getting coached by, which is a good thing. That's obviously I'm still here. So there was that, connected with her. And then, we went through my healing process, because you have to let yourself feel and get those out. Are there faster ways to bypass it? Sure, there are, to heal it, but sometimes it's not the best method. It just depends who you are. If you want to, you could talk about timeline collapses, but that's a whole different category. That's further down the rabbit hole. But to get back on point, I connected with Vanessa, worked on stuff within, got myself healed to deal with things, and, becoming where I could wake up each day and the day feel lighter to me. Like, there's one day I woke up and everything just felt different. Just everything breathed more to me. Like there was life. And they say everything's energy and matter anyway. So, hey, might as well. You're the universe, a part of the universe, whatever you want to look at. We all came from something. But when I did my sessions with Vanessa, there's a time frame that we both branched off to do our own thing. That's what happens. But when you are connected with me with enough love and care, I do obviously care about you, you eventually come together again. And then at the time, I think when I was talking to you, you made a mention of Neville Goddard to me or reading a book. Okay. All right. So that's another little dot that we put here. So Vanessa, healing, and then our talk one day, she makes a mention of Neville Goddard. So that's another dot. All right. So I start exploring Neville Goddard, different groups, going by his teachings. Yes, that I'm not doing that because that looks like semen probably flying through the air. But hey, give birth to life, right? The egg of life. But connect the dot from Vanessa to, she brings up Neville Goddard. I start following his teachings to what I understand it as. Start going through a few other groups that I think it was like an I Am Imagination group, and then Neville students. And then I think there's another one called Essential Manifesting, which the Neville Goddard method's different from Law of Attraction, because that one doesn't really click with me. But that's where I started, actually. That's different. That was a different part of my life. See, just things come to me. So after exploring through those groups, I think someone posted a video of Candace, or I ran across her on YouTube, because, when I keep getting the feel, and you'll know it, you keep getting this pull. I kept feeling the need to keep digging. I go into research mode because I always feel like I'm on the cusp of something, but it's still not clicking right. Like I feel it's there, but I feel like I need to develop it further. Ran across her, then I don't know. I just like to feel, when you watch whomever, or you see somebody, you just like them for no real reason. You don't know why. So started watching her videos. I think it still took me a couple months to even bother saying anything to her. and then started connecting with her, and then started taking some of her classes, and then went to your retreat because I was already deep into this at that point. And then people there were all mentioning Hawaii and how magical it is. So there's another dot. And then you all keep mentioning rainbows. That's another dot, which I look at as word associations. You got rainbows in Hawaii. Well, Candace lives in Hawaii. I think on Honolulu, maybe. I don't know where she lives at in Hawaii.
Oahu.
But Oahu? Hey, you know what? I got a coworker that was from there too, I think. That's weird. Anyway, so there was that dot connected. So I connected with her, then the rainbow, and what was I saying? Rainbows and Hawaii. People kept mentioning it. So, it keeps reminding me of her. So I decided, well, I want to share what she does to our soul tribe or whatever, and see who it clicks with, because this is going down a whole different rabbit hole. That's how spirituality is, by the way. Different rabbit holes, you just got to go with what feels right for you, because one concept one day might not make any damn sense and not feel right, then all of a sudden you get to that point, you're like, oh, mind blown, or whatever it is. Then, the story from there, all that mentioning of Hawaii, and then your love for it. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep posting on Facebook about these two and see if I can get them to connect, because that was my intent. But I wasn't going to tell you both, because screw that. Why make things simple? Let's make it difficult and see if I can manipulate it to where eventually they're going to have to be, because I was the median. I was the middle point of this. That's how I looked at it, because I'm a client of you both, but obviously I look at you both more than mentors. So I just served as a bridge of events between you two to connect and see where it goes from there. So there you go. That's how the patterns work. It might have no idea. I had no idea I was going to do this. And then eventually things started clicking in more. And I'm like, you know what? This feels right. Just do it. That's how it works. Just you follow what speaks.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it so much. And
I think that was a 6-month time period or something. So yeah, I obviously had no idea. It was just like, that seems right. Let's go with that.
It's beautiful, Robert. Thank you so much. Would you like to pull a card for just like a collective reading for whoever is watching or will watch this video or listen to this podcast?
Yeah, give me a minute to get all proper with that. You're welcome to pull a card too if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. About to see how perspectives work in effects. Something to keep in mind for others out there. I look at cards as being open to interpretation. Yes, you have your defined meanings from authors and experts and such and blah, 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 knowing stuff for them. But at the same time, symbols can mean entirely something different to you. That's why I don't bother dream journals, but, it's just me.
True. That's why I love having cards. Such a great way to strengthen your intuition.
Of course, and any card I pull, how I interpret it, someone else can come along and interpret entirely different. I'm fine with that. That just allows me to understand what they're seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
And guess what? That can be an inspiration, expand on your learning too. That's it.
Yes, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Combustion. Yeah, check that out. So, what this reminds me of, because, everything's just bursting that I was talking about earlier. Funny how those things work, right? So holding in things bursting, obviously you're gonna feel like you're fire inside. I guess I should probably hold the card up. Hey, fine gentlemen and fine ladies, this is the combustion card. And as you can see, in the state of utter shock, what the fuck just happened? Everything burst into flames because it's holding things in. So, and this would be the perfect time because, let's go right back to the virus again. And that's not to spread fear. So, I'm looking at this because this does remind me of what people are going through right now, being stuck inside. And I know there's people out there that love interacting outside at groups. I understand that. I really do. Well, with combustion, there's things you're feeling locked in. I get it. You're holding things in, and I've seen the freak out posts. Like, sucks, but it's just a good time to go within. You're holding things in and it's bursting, so you have to let it out, but find a better source for it, or else you're gonna have it just exploding out of you, and you're gonna, lose your shit if you're not already losing your shit. Sometimes it is good to lose your shit. Sometimes it's good to have a breakdown, to have a breakthrough, because we can't get over our bullshit. So, but I would say, since with the virus going on, we are forced to look within ourselves. If you don't realize, especially, you have to pay attention to your thoughts, because I know some are saying they're bored. You're focused on boredom. I mean, you're gonna keep getting that. You're focused on it. I get it, because I would do the same shit when I was a kid, So my advice to you, especially if you're feeling bored or any of those feelings, take time for yourself. Find a way to express it out. You gotta write about it, create something. You don't even need to share it. If you want to write some in a notebook and set it on fire, then praise be to God, go right ahead. But you got to take time to address what you're feeling within, because you want to look at it from a metaphorical standpoint. You're stuck inside, so you're stuck with yourself. So now you're forced to look within even further, and then you have to learn to go beyond the walls of your own home and beyond the walls that you've built around yourself, pretty much. Now, Isn't that always fun? Can be. It's learning to not take it so seriously. And if you can find the humor to make fun of yourself in a lighthearted manner, of course. I can say some pretty vile things towards myself, but I don't put the actual feeling into it. To me, it's all about feeling. Words can be meaningless to me until I put meaning into it. That's how it works.
Beautiful.
For me, personally. I mean, whatever works for you is fine. But when the whole combustion thing's going to happen, where it feels like your whole world's on fire, yes, it might burn down. And then you could, of course, be that cliched metaphorical phoenix. I'm like, I rose from the ashes. But it's just learning how to douse out that fire for every little flicker of flame, because something needs to come out. And focusing on boredom, anger, that's not helping. You have to address it, acknowledge it, and express it out however you can. Hopefully not in a self-destructive manner, because then that could just make you feeling like shit afterwards, and then hey, we're cycling right back in that pattern. But this is a good time for reflection, and then, of course, with others, being disconnected, to connect with the people that means the most to them. And it's also a good test to see, to be selfish, to learn to be selfless. It is a good time for that, because you have to be selfish for your own needs at times. Because let's face it, if I'm putting myself out there too much, like right now, for instance, during this time, because people are seeking advice inside or whatever, if I keep tending everyone else's needs, what do I got?
Mm-hmm.
A meat husk, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So selfish to be selfless. And the thing is, when we give advice to others too, it's like talking to another aspect of ourselves. You gotta look at it that way. Because I was horrible about giving advice, and they're like, oh, I get it, and they'd follow that, but then I wouldn't follow it. So there was that pattern for about a year or so. Yes, I'm sure we're all guilty of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So combustion. You have the flames of anger, emotion going within, but those flames can forge something if it is focused on the right intentions, or else you're just gonna lose your shit and catch everything on fire.
And that goes perfect with the card that I chose that I'll go through really quick, which is Power of Attraction, which essentially, you know, going off of that, the reflection, the mirror, you get to you get to create how you want to perceive in your reality, and then this is how your reality shows up. We were just talking about how we can get different perspectives from the same thing, all from your own state of mind in which you are perceiving. So what are you focusing on? It's a great time to focus on something that you want more of in your life. So if you want the boredom, the definition of boredom is a desire to have desires. So what is it that something that could bring power? Like what fuels your flame in a loving way to that would be conducive to your life and being of service to yourself, and then being able to be of service to others in some type of way. So that's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Robert. If people would like to reach out to you and connect with you and work with you, how can they do that?
I have a page called Unhinge Yourself, because in order to rebuild yourself, sometimes you have to lose parts of your past identity or more. Breakdown for a breakthrough. Hooray. And I'm not charging anybody. I just have a thing for a donation if you want to put it up. Now, I do want to make it clear to people, I work quite often, but I will take the time to service your needs as best as I can. So I want to let you all know that. But I do work quite often, but I will take the time. So if anyone messages me and it takes me a minute to get back to you, I am not ignoring you. I want to make that very clear. It's just, depending on who I'm dealing with, means how much energy I got to give that day.
Beautiful.
Needs, yes, I got needs to tend to, just like you do, but I am not ignoring what ails you. And one last thing I want to add, our imaginations are more powerful than people realize, especially when you put feeling behind it. That's it. And then as I spouted from living in the end, like you have your own goal right now to get to where, I don't know where you want to get to. You want to be on stage talking to people, I know that. So, I mean, all you got to do is go right to that end scene. Doesn't matter how, why, just go to that end scene. Just enter it first person and just feel all of it, your emotions, everything. How would you even be drinking your water at that point? Everything, just every little micro details, you slip into that, and then just feel it. Feel wash over you and absorb it as you got your wish fulfilled, basically. Feel that fulfillment and live from that state.
Beautiful.
And that's it. That's all you gotta do, and then be persistent about it. Because yes, I get that there's gonna be things that distract you, but it's fine. You acknowledge that, let it go, and then slip back into it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and tune in for our next Paint Purpose next week. And I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much, Robert.
Yeah, power.